Hey guys, how you doing? This is JP Saricolia coming to you once again with another episode of Weekend Entertainment. I hope you're having a good weekend. So let's just dive in. First, if you are looking for something to watch this weekend, perhaps if you like horror stuff or you like the supernatural stuff, maybe you can. Maybe you like Castlevania. Maybe you already watched Castlevania. If you haven't, it's there. It's an option. So Castlevania season 2 is finally on Netflix. They started this weekend. It's been able to stream. They added 8 more episodes to the original 4 episodes of the first season. For those who do not know, of course, Castlevania. It's been written by Warren Ellis, which has been famous, of course, a writer in comic books. He's very prolific. He's been working for Marvel, DC, Vertigo, Image, Wildstorm, Dynamite, you name it. He worked for almost everyone, and he's the co-creator of Transmetropolitan and Planetary. So he is well known, and he's actually the writer of this series. And Castlevania, this show for Netflix is based on Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, the 1989 game that actually served as a prequel to the original Castlevania. It is a notorious game for its high difficulty, very hard, and also for the soundtrack, which has actually kind of shaped the soundtrack for all the games that have come after. The art is heavily inspired, of course, on Japanese anime. A very, very, is very good anime, and the art of Kojima's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It follows the story of Trevor Belmont and Sypha Velnates and Alucard against, of course, Dracula. Very, very good so far. I can tell you, if you haven't watched it yet, you're not alone. I started watching it just recently. I didn't watch it last year. Started watching the episodes. Very, very mature, very heavy on, the violence, the gore, the blood. It's very beautiful art, I can say that, and of course there's a lot of foul language, which I was very surprised. So when they mean mature, they mean mature. Interesting so far. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm too crazy. I'm still in the first season. I'm still in the I'm in this case on the third episode. So I'm still kind of getting my footing into it. We'll see how it goes. A lot of people seem to love it. There's some mixed reviews, but most of them are positive in regards to the show, what they're trying to accomplish. Warren Ellis has his own style of writing, so it seems that everything that he does, of course, he feels his art is very well implemented in this type of dark story. So we'll see how it goes. So if you're looking for something, particularly this time of the year, where a lot of horror stuff is out there, people like to watch horror movies and horror shows. I think this one that probably is right up your alley. Wonder Woman 1984 has been delayed until 2020. If you follow my podcast, you probably already seen or heard my episode of where I talk about it this week. It's been pushed back 7 months. It was initially set for November 1st, 2019. They pushed it all the way back to June 5th, 2020 of next year. So they pushed it back all the way to the summer. Gal Gadot was the one that announced this on her Twitter account. So it's been the news, of course. It seems that, and I talk about it, in depth in my episode in the podcast. That it seems that DC is trying not only to stay away from direct collision with Marvel or with in this case with Star Wars, but it seems that it's primarily they're reshaping a lot of the stuff that happened within the DC universe. It's kind of sad to see being pushed back so far because it's a long way from here. But if this is planning to do something to reshape the whole universe to make it better for viewers, I'm all for it. So let's see what's gonna happen. Of course, there's a long way. There's a lot of speculation, and there's a lot that can happen between now and then. Also, this week we got the news that there was a special screening for Black Panther 2. They already have a director. The same director that directed last one is going to direct again the sequel. They saying that it's going to happen. They're gonna probably start production in probably late next year or early the 2020. So we'll know that it's coming. Black Panther 2 is coming, which is good. We're excited about that. So they have a special screening, of course, presenting for some people, some insiders, some of the stuff they're planning to do, which is just initial. They plan ahead. But in that special screening, which was, of course, led by Kevin Feige, there was he mentioned, according to some of the insiders there, that there is going to be an Avengers 4 trailer before the end of this year. Which is exciting news. Of course, as Infinity War was a great movie. I really love Infinity War. However, there's something that I felt that the ending was not as clear, at least for people that are not comic book fans. So you're a comic book fan like myself, then you understood the ending, which is okay. You know exactly what's going to happen next. But for those who did not know, like people like my wife or even my daughter, it was unclear. And for them, it's like, what was next? What happened? They couldn't understand. The cliffhanger was not as clear as a cliffhanger. It was just more like an ending, like a just ending there. So, that was the only bad thing. I felt that they could have managed it better. Well, they did what they could. Of course, knowing that, the sequel will take, over a year just to happen. But, knowing that we're going to have a trailer, I'm sure that's going to be, I think it's going to clarify some things, or at least open the door for the people that they couldn't understand the ending well, which is good. As a person that reads comics, I'm okay with it. But as a person that also understands other people and how they see their movies, a lot of people have come to watch these movies not because of comics. They have come just through the MCU. So they're only fixated on the MCU as a whole universe. So you will see, I'm excited. Anything that has to do with MCU, anything that has to do with the upcoming projects, to me, I'm all for it. So a trailer, it's, to me, is a godsend. Also, in this special screening, Kevin mentioned that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is on hold for the time being. We all knew that. It has been, said before. They've been looking for a director since August. But at the same time, it's kind of sad to know that there's no plans for the time being. And if they say there's no plans, they're already talking about, Black Panther, which is going to happen, in 2020 or in 2023. So you're looking at 2020, 2021, I'm sorry. So knowing that they don't have any plans, that makes us think kind of leaves us hanging. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So for the time being, they're just, it's on the back burner. We'll see what happens, which I feel that is sad, and hopefully they get to it, because, Guardians of the Galaxy have become so popular in pop culture because of the movies. And I feel that people love the characters. We love the characters. So we would like to see more of them. So we'll see. For the time being, we just have to wait and see. But hopefully they get back to it and they just leave it there hanging. In that special screening, Kevin also mentioned about the possibility of bringing Namor, the Submariner, to have an appearance in the MCU. Which is exciting news. He said that they're still deciding how they're going to do this. For the time being, Universal holds the rights, the distribution rights for Namor, the same as they have the rights for for the Hulk. One of the reasons Mark Ruffalo hasn't been able to have his own standalone movie, which is it's kind of sad, but at the same time, that's the way things are. The good thing is Marvel has been able to manage some of these things by including these characters into some of the movies, which, in my opinion, is a good way to do it. For a lot of people, if you don't know Namor, if you know Namor, but Namor has always been a bit of a jerk. That's just bottom line. But he's a good, kind of jerk, in my opinion. He is one of the original superheroes, Marvel superheroes. So he comes all the way from the golden age of comics. I remember watching the cartoons that were back in the 70s. I watched the cartoons in the 80s with Namor, Submariner, which I always like his story, the backstory of this character. Really, really good. He's always strong. He's very independent. He's a very stubborn. It's also, he's the type of person that, he thinks highly about himself. And, he always see him in confrontation with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers. And he's been part of the Avengers and, the Dark Avengers and the Dark X-Men and all of them. So, it is an interesting character. A lot of people hate him, but it's interesting to see him. So the fact that they're already thinking about bringing him here, of course, maybe just trying to combat what this is doing with Aquaman. But in my opinion, it will be interesting to see an expansion to this universe, of the Marvel universe, through Namor. That anything that Marvel is doing, the more characters they bring, the better, in my opinion. So I'm all excited for it. Also, this week, we got the news that the Boba Fett movie is 100% dead in the water. The possibility of a movie with Boba Fett right now, it's a no-go. And this was mentioned by Kathleen Kennedy in a recent interview. Right now, Lucasfilms, it's 100%, fixated or focused in their energy on The Mandalorian. For those who do not know, The Mandalorian is Jon Favreau's live-action Star Wars series that is exclusive for Disney, for the Disney upcoming streaming service. The show occurs 7 years after the events of The Return of the Jedi and will follow a new warrior that is inspired after Jango and Boba Fett, which is cool. I like this kind of things. I think that series or shows that have to do with Star Wars, I think those are great in my opinion. I love those shows. Of course, Boba Fett has always been a very very loved, very famous character. He really didn't have much to do on The Return of the Jedi, on the original part of the original trilogy, but he became such an icon. It really gathered such a cult following. People love him. It's just a cool character. So, people were wanting to have a movie just with Boba Fett, to know more about Boba Fett and his story. But, of course, it is not happening for the time being, which is sad. It's sad. Because, he's such a popular character, not only through the movies, but everything that happens after that, through the toy lines, through the comic book stories, through the different stories, like animation. Boba Fett has always been very present, and people love the character. And I'm going online, and I'm going to this part where I feel that I see a lot of people blaming Kathleen Kennedy, saying that she's killing the Star Wars universe. She's killing the Star Wars characters. And I've seen that a lot. And in my opinion, I feel that, I feel so conflicted, not because of what she's doing, but more conflicted about the way people react to things. It's just so sad to see what's happening. People saying that she's the one doing this to Star Wars. In my opinion, this is not her doing. She's just doing what, she needs to do in order to make this business thrive. The fact is that the movie, in this case, the previous movie, which Solo, really didn't have a great reception. It really was criticized very heavily, to the point that killed the opportunity to have a second movie with Solo, which is really, really disappointing, because in my opinion, Solo was a good movie that had the opportunity to unfold into a much better movie on a sequel. But because fans and their, blinded hate towards these characters, because, of course, the Last Jedi, they felt the need to just not go there and to boycott the movie, and ultimately that resulted in this, and the sad part is this, a universe to expand needs some fans. It needs support, anything. Star Wars has always been a part of the cult, following, a part of people that love Star Wars, and people support Star Wars no matter what. But because of this is happening, it's creating a younger generation that didn't grow up with this for them to go. And after all the backlash, a lot of people, they just don't go, because they just go by the mud mentality that exists out there in social media. So if people are saying, don't go to Solo, don't help, don't support this garbage. Most people, they just simply say, they believe what they hear. That sadly we live in this time and age. And this brings me to this point, at the ending point of this video. People believe everything they see online. Sadly, we live in a society that people just believe what they see. If somebody just throws a lie online, everyone believes it and everyone accepts it and everybody says, okay, this is true, because people don't fact check. They just don't simply go and check the facts. So I feel that the Star Wars have suffered from that. Not saying that they haven't made big mistakes, because they have. They do have. Kathleen Kennedy, as the head of this, Studios, of course, she's to blame for a lot of those things. And she's responsible for it, because at the end of the day, she's the one in charge. But I believe that the opportunity to have some different movies and to expand this universe to greater, heights, it's there. If fans are willing to accept it and embrace the changes, and also to be participant in the change, not just be critical about everything that has nothing to do with the original trilogy. Because I feel that people say, well, nothing is better. I hear all the time, nothing is better than the original trilogy. And to me, is that just short-sighted, and it's just the fanboyism is so high that people don't see that there's always the possibility to improve something and to make it better. If you're willing to give it a try, if you're willing to put aside your fanboy cap, your childhood memories, and opening your heart, opening your mind to accept what is to come. I feel that the opportunities are there. I don't blame Kathleen Kennedy for not a Boba Fett movie, dead in the water. I blame the fans, because if they didn't support Solo, then there's now, they close the door to other movies and other opportunities to explore in different characters and their backstory, at least for the time being. So I believe that if we're going to be fans of Star Wars, then we need to embrace the change as well. We need to be critical when it needs to be critical, but we need to do it in a good manner. Like I was, people saying, and I see that online, and a lot of people saying, I'm not going to watch any movie. I'm not going to watch the next Star Wars movie. I'm just going to speak out that way. I'm just not going to be there. And a lot of people saying that you're lying to yourself if you think you're a fan, because regardless if you like it or not, I'm still gonna go. Believe me, I didn't like a lot of the movies that came out. I didn't like the Venom movie, at least for the trailers prior to the Venom movie. But I still went to support the Venom movie. Why I did that? Because I believe that if I do it, then I can see more stuff coming. Yes, the critics are going to decide, because our voice is going to decide if the movie is good or not. And then movies, and then the studios, they push in order to accommodate afterwards. So Venom wasn't that great of a movie, but I watched it. It was enjoyable for what it was. It was not the origin story that I wanted to see, but it was there. So at least they have it, and it did well. So that means that they're going to have a second movie where I'm going to see Carnage, and perhaps at some point this can cross over to Spider-Man. But because we're supporting it, then we're watching. And the same happens with Star Wars. If we're not supporting these films, then they're not going to produce them. If they're not producing them, then don't cry. Don't cry if you don't see anything from Star Wars. And don't blame anyone, just yourself. Blame yourself for not being there to support the movies. Believe me, if you didn't watch Solo, shame on you. Shame on you, because Solo was a good movie. A lot of people didn't even give it a chance. And sadly, that affected Solo, and not only Solo for a sequel, but also has affected other Solo projects or other, standalone films in the future, at least in the years to come. And when that's going to change, we don't know. In the next 5 years, perhaps. You never know. This movie takes forever to be produced, so we'll see. That's just my opinion, of course. If you don't agree with it, I understand. I respect your opinion. But the way I see it is this. If I want something to thrive, then I need to support it. And I need to be there to say, I didn't like it or I like it. And, you need to do this or you need to do that. Then I can voice my opinion and say, well, this needs to be changed. This needs to be changed. Not just I'm going to say, stand back and say, I'm not going to watch it. And I'm still going to criticize it, even though I didn't even give it a chance at the movie theater. So, with this, I just end. Maybe this is just a small rant like every other video that I do. But, in any case, I do it respectfully towards you. And I thank you for your support. So once again, thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can be reminded of the next video. And don't forget, you can also check my podcast, and the links are down below. Once again, thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.